from Wolverhampton Music Service, and I've recorded a couple of videos for those of you that are around grade 6 standard. The first one will help you with Doubletonguing, and we'll be looking at Tambourin by Gossec. The second one will focus on John Rutter's Prelude from Suite Antique and on intonation or tuning. Both pieces are on grade 6 exam lists and would be good pieces to prepare for concerts, auditions or exams. So let's have a look at Tambourin. The title means little drum, and the introduction on piano or guitar sounds very percussive with 4 accented quavers to a bar. The piece is marked Allegro, which means quick and lively, but be careful not to start too quick and lively, or you might struggle to get your fingers around the semiquavers at bar 80 when the tempo changes to vivace. So I'd aim for a secure speed around 120 beats per minute at the beginning. So if we get that on our metronome, I'll just have a listen to that. That's 120 on the metronome, so that's going to be... But to start off with, obviously you're going to try that a little bit slower. We'll try it at 90, although you might want to slow it down even further. And you can either get your own little metronome or have an app on your phone. There are lots of metronome apps around. So that's 90 now, let's hear that. And I'm going to count you 2 bars in so that you can join in. 1, 2, 1, 2. So that section of the tune comes 3 times in this piece, and people often think it's an easy option because they can see that it's only a page long and the tune is fairly achievable. However, it's the sections between this tune that you'll probably need to work on most, and it's worth looking at them on their own in isolation and make sure you've got the notes securely under your fingers before you move on to the next section. So at bar 51 to 64, you can see where the pink arrow is. There are some demi-semiquavers. I'll just play a little bit for you. So you can see this section starts quietly, so you'll need to use lots of diaphragm to support here and to keep your bottom lip forward, air blowing up towards the ceiling, just to make sure that we stay in tune and that the notes don't slip down, particularly the higher ones. And just give an extra push from your diaphragm on the accented notes. So you can practice these notes on their own, first MP and then work down to PP. So you might just want to practice from 51, etc. And you're just using your diaphragm to give an extra push on those notes. And let's see if we can do it a little bit quieter. So you probably want to slow those demi-semiquavers down quite a lot to practice, to make sure that you're getting every single note in. I think probably the first one in bar 51 is the hardest because you've got changed from C to D. I would do that a few times just to make sure that that's secure underneath your fingers. And then we get the last section, the vivace at bar 80. You should have the same bar numbers as me on your copy, but it's where the staccato semiquavers start. Depending on how quickly you manage to get this section, you might need to use double tonguing here, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But please, please, please don't try to play this quickly when you practice. This section will take many hours to perfect, and you have to start slowly. If you don't, I can guarantee there'll always be part of it, a few notes, or one of the arpeggios that falls apart and stops you getting to the end. So start slowly, metronome on, let's find perhaps crotchet equals 60, and we'll have a go. So crotchet equals 60, so that's going to be 1 click every minute. Let's just get that going. There we go. So that's our crotchet speed. So we've got 4 semiquavers to each crotchet, so we're going to go da 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 da. So let's try that. Are you ready? After 2, ready, 1, 2. Etc. We don't need to practice the end bit because that's easy. So if you manage to do it at that speed, then you can gradually, one click at a time, start to speed that up. So we've already talked about what you might do to practice passages like this when there are even, fast notes. We've talked about varying the speed, obviously starting slowly, and don't be afraid to go really slowly. What you want to do is to try and program your fingers so that they know those patterns. Even if the music falls off the stand, you can keep going. But you could also vary the rhythm, to play it using a dotted rhythm. You could invert the dotted rhythm. So you're going short, long instead of long, short. You could make it into triplets. Or that's quite tricky because you're going against the group of 4. But be creative, just make sure that you're really accurate every time. And if it's not accurate, slow it down. Now the last thing for today is to talk a little bit about double tonguing. In order to play fast passages like this one, woodwind players sometimes use double tonguing, and at grade 6 you're probably going to start seeing more pieces that you're finding difficult to play without using double tonguing. So if you remember when you started to learn your instrument and you had to practice saying at the beginning of each note, well, what you're going to do now is do a k sound as well. So you're going to do a tu, ku, which feels a lot further back. It feels down here somewhere when you do the k sound. But what we're aiming for is a really even sound. So you sometimes see this written in books as a t, k, or even just t, k. But try and keep your embouchure the same as when you normally blow and add the k sound a bit further back. So I'll just slow that down a little bit. You can't really hear the difference between the t, k. You'll be able to feel it, but you can't hear it, and you shouldn't be able to hear too much of a difference either. What we want is a sound that's very even, and that people aren't going to think, ooh, that sounds different to single tonguing. So this is a technique that will take some practice, but if you start slowly and practice it often, it can be really useful to your playing. So even if you're sitting watching a movie or you're on a bike ride, you can practice doing. Start slowly. Okay. You may find it easier to think of a d and a g than a t and a k, because they're quite hard sounds. And when you speed it up, you want your tongue to be able to move quickly and it not sound too jumpy. So more of a d, g. Let's try that. When you try it through your flute, remember you're starting slowly first. And if it starts to get uneven, if you start to hear more, I'll show you. If you hit, just slow it down even more. Your tongue will get tired to start off with when you first start practicing this. We've got to build up the muscles at the back of here, back of your mouth. So you can also swap it round if it starts to get uneven and do a k, t, and then go back to doing t, k. But remember to aim for it being really even semiquavers at a speed you can manage. And that's it. So good luck with the double tonguing and with your other practice, and thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like the video and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you soon.